A very good morning to one and all present here. After a very long time, suppose we give a call to someone, imagining a possibility where they pick the phone and say, "Hey, how are you? It's been so long since we spoke." But in reality, they pick the phone and all they have to say is, "Gah, what took you so long to call me?" Well, there are other situations in life that also quite get to us, where we get a rather insensitive email from a colleague when we write an important email to them and all we get a reply is, "Sure, we'll meet post-lunch." Let me do all the mental work here, yeah? When is lunch for you? When is post-lunch for us? Where are we meeting? How long the meeting is going to be? Let me do all the mental work, no problem. There are also situations in life where there are important meetings and we realize that we didn't factor in various variables that come into life, like the traffic that delays you forever. In certain situations, there are your friends that seem to say inappropriate things at inappropriate places and time, a bad joke at the wrong time, yeah? There are times in life, you tell me, you give me a nod, if there have been times in life where people mistreated you, they were rude to you, they were very disrespectful, and how they treated you, you used that as a measure to treat who you are. You determined your self-worth using that treatment, and it took very long time, days and weeks and months, for you to recover from that incident. There are times when you walk up to people, you're ready to wear your vulnerability on the sleeve. You want to go talk to them about the problem and say, "This is what is going on in my life." Instead of listening to you empathetically, what if all they do is, "Yeah, I can imagine," and make it all about themselves on how they overcame situations in life where you end up feeling like you were not listened to at all. Yeah? There are times in life, at least for me, around me, I've had people who've always been book smart, always the top ranker, the first bench student, the teacher's favorite, who always is the top ranker, is very good at everything. But in reality, you look around, you see who is writing new definitions of success. Are those people who have been the backbenchers, who have been the street smart people, who are very good in negotiation, who are very good in team building, who are very good in problem solving when it comes to real life. There are also times when we enter a party or we enter a crowded room and we realize there is a natural spotlight on certain people and not on certain others. We so long to be that charismatic person who has the spotlight on them, where people gravitate towards them. People love talking to them. There's always laughter and joy and positivity around these folks, always. Well, who are you? Where are you going with this, if you ask? Well, I'm just an ordinary person at whom life threw a lot of lemons. And what do you do when life gives you lemons? You make lemonades. That's what I did. And I realized it's not just one lemon. There were so many lemons in my life that I made lemonade out of. The first of the lemons was my name. Of all the names my parents could choose, what did they choose? Kuppulakshmi. Now, if you know Tamil, a South Indian language, you would know that my name sounds very close to, not by meaning, but by sound. It sounds very close to the Tamil word for garbage, that's kuppai. Now, having a name like this, you can imagine the permutations and combinations of how many different ways my name was made into a joke and ridiculed. Life turned upside down once again when my dad faced a huge business loss due to a rather stupid business transaction many years ago. Mind you, this was in the 1980s, and there was no way to find this person who kind of cheated on my dad, and he ran away with all the money. Our life turned upside down overnight. As though all of this was not enough, I choose to take some more lemons on myself. Instead of working hard and making my parents proud and rescuing them out of the socioeconomic condition that we were in, what did I do? I flunked in my 12th board exam in my mathematics paper. And in the entire history of the school, there was never once a situation had happened where a student had failed in the board exam. So I was a huge black mark in the history, and given my name, there was no confusion. There was no confusion about which Kuppulakshmi you're talking about. And then, fast forward a few years in life, I transitioned, I studied well, I became a microbiologist, I became a copy editor, I taught people on how to stand on stage very confidently and share your story. A few years down the line, life decided to throw another very rude lemon at me. In a very tragic accident, I lost both my parents. Overnight, my life turned upside down once again. All of a sudden, one day when I sat down with my grief, with my life, looking back, trying to connect the dots, trying to make some sense out of it, trying to escape wallowing from self-pity. Why is this happening to me? What reason could it be? What did I do? What can I do now? Suddenly it dawned on me that my life, this very platform, the situations, all the incidents that happened to me were a great foundation for something called emotional intelligence. This trait and this ability, if I hack into, can take me very long in life. I don't have to feel all that I feel anymore. I realized I am more self-aware. I realized where I am putting my energy in, what kind of people I am associated with. What are the thoughts that keep me occupied throughout the day? I became more and more self-aware of my breath, of how long it takes for me to finish a task. What do I complain about? And when I became more self-aware, I also became very socially aware. I could become this person to whom people can come to with trust and hope that I could be listening to them very, very empathetically because I went through similar situations in life, if not exactly the same. This helped me in managing myself a little more, to hone the leadership skills in me, to put myself forward, to wear the vulnerability on my sleeves, to talk about the mistakes that I made in my life and the lessons that I learned very, very confidently and courageously. And this helped in building better relationships. This helped in identifying people who could contribute to your growth and who could contribute to their growth as well. Now, this was not enough, talking about lemons. I thought I would share with you a real-life incident that happened with two of my friends. Make no mistakes, this is no fabricated story. So we follow a lot of people on social media, and two of my friends simultaneously, with no knowledge of each other, with no knowledge about each other, started growing lemons in their garden. They started growing lemon trees in their garden. They shared beautiful tips on how the lemon tree was growing. They shared the difficulties on what happens in this journey of from a sprout to growing into a tree, growing into all those thorns and producing lemons. These were beautiful stories. At the end of it, a day came when they got to harvest all the lemons from the tree. One of my friends who grew the lemon tree said, "Wow, what a wonderful journey. I am so grateful to have witnessed all of these changes that goes through a tree. I now have mad respect for the farmers. Now if I go to a market and I have to buy lemons, I do not mind at all to give 5 extra rupees. That's how grateful I am to hold this beautiful fruit in my hands." Now there was this other friend who went through the same journey, who got to harvest the lemons. And what did they say? Ha! Now, this is what it takes to grow lemon, eh? This must be so easy. What is the reason that the farmers charge so much? I am never going to go to the market and pay so much price to buy lemon. Sweet revenge. Two people going through the same process, harvesting the same thing, do not necessarily learn the same lessons in life. So life can give you lessons, but do we all learn the same lessons from it? We can be grateful. We can program our mind to be grateful, to be sensitive, to be aware. And we can also feel privileged and not really appreciate the process, the metamorphosis all of us go through. That's when I realized there is this cognitive intelligence that determines how smart you are. There is this emotional quotient, also emotional intelligence, that actually determines what are you going to do with all the smartness that you're blessed with, all the smartness that you learned over experiences from life. I realized if we all could take a moment to imagine a world where we lack emotional intelligence, maybe there will be ticket to Mars, it will all be sold out, but what will we do after reaching there? There will be great infrastructure, great cars, modern amenities, still angry people yelling at each other and not following traffic rules, not being grateful for all the developments that we went through. Children going through all the fast development, growing up so fast, tackling fear of missing out, still disconnecting with their own innocence, disconnecting with their own growth and self, and not knowing who they are. Perhaps there will be families who are very, very supposedly close to each other. Now they have so much technology, they can never be far apart, but they hardly talk to each other and hardly understand each other. We can put 100 more examples of what a sheer imagination of a lack of world that has EQ in it can show us. So I realized in this quadrant of emotional quotient where we talk about self-awareness, it is up to us to take it slow, to consciously live a slow life, to keep a journal and write down all the good things that happen to you that you're grateful for every day. Be present in the moment than to have to worry about the past and than to have to worry about what's going to happen in the future. I realize it's very important once you have this self-awareness. It leads you into this beautiful social awareness where you realize the situation as soon as you walk into the room. You become this most sensitive, approachable, empathetic human that people around you celebrate you. They don't tolerate you anymore. We also realize that along with this comes self-management. You no more waste time, wailing in self-pity to talk about, oh, why all of these things are happening in my life. You become more solution-oriented. You become more empathetic. You become looking more inwards where you look at all the solutions that you can give to your own life. And in this ever-changing world where every day we are presented with new technology, you are the one who is first willing to adopt to the change. Now, when all of this happens, relationships get more meaningful. They get more deep. We get more aware of who we are with, what we talk with them about. How do we spend our time with the people around us? And eventually, we all become resonant leaders, people can relate to you, people like talking to you, people are not afraid to approach you for having a solution to a problem. This is something the future really, really needs. So these are the core competencies of emotional quotient or emotional intelligence. Now, sitting with this, with a lot of permutations and combinations, looking at the possibilities of what a world can look like without emotional quotient, can we all take a conscious moment, close our eyes, and imagine a future that our posterity truly deserves? A future where every day, in every action, in every thought, word, and deed that we do, we weave in these core competencies of emotional quotient, understanding that your cognitive intelligence, your intellectual quotient, and your emotional quotient are so correlated that it is never IQ versus EQ. It is always a seesaw. You choose when to put your mind front. You choose when to put your heart front. You choose when to listen to your intuitions. It's a beautiful duet you will realize when you do this, like music and lyrics, like the cloud and the rain, like the thunder and the lightning, like the rhythm and the dance. It becomes a possibility, it becomes a reality, and this reality, this very idea, is worth spreading. Thank you.